You ever have that gut-wrenching moment when you check your front porch expecting a delivery, but it's gone? That sinking feeling became my reality over and over again. At first, I thought it was just bad luck. Maybe the delivery company misplaced my orders. But after the third, fourth, and fifth package vanished in a row, I knew something wasn't right. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The kind where people wave at each other while mowing lawns and kids ride bikes until the street lights flicker on. It wasn't exactly the kind of place you'd expect a thief to lurk, but someone was definitely targeting me. The first few times it happened, I tried to brush it off. I called the delivery companies, asked for replacements, and told myself it was probably just a mistake. But then I started noticing small things. A neighbor's doorbell camera caught a figure walking down the sidewalk around the same time my packages disappeared. And that figure looked suspiciously familiar. It was none other than Karen, our HOA president. Yes, that kind of Karen. The woman who nitpicked everything from the length of my grass to the color of my mailbox. She had a permanent scowl etched on her face and a habit of snooping on everyone else's business. If someone parked slightly crooked, she'd send a nasty email. If a kid left their bike on the sidewalk, she'd file a complaint. She thrived on control. But stealing packages? That was a new low, even for her. At first, I didn't want to believe it. After all, who in their right mind would risk their reputation in the neighborhood just for a few boxes? But the more I watched, the clearer it became. Karen wasn't just being nosy. She was swiping packages straight off my porch. The worst part? She acted like nothing was wrong. Whenever I saw her, she'd wave with that fake, tight-lipped smile, pretending she was the perfect neighbor. But I knew better. I just didn't have the proof. So, I decided to get creative. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I'd play dirtier. I started thinking about ways to catch her red-handed, or at least make her regret messing with me. And one night, the perfect idea slithered into my mind, literally. Because if Karen wanted to open my packages so badly, then I was going to give her one she'd never forget. And let's just say it involved a box, a hiding spot, and one very wriggly surprise. Once the idea struck me, I couldn't shake it. Karen wanted to keep stealing from me. Fine, I'd let her. Only this time, what she'd find inside wasn't going to be the new headphones or books she thought she was snagging. I knew Karen's routine by now. She'd stroll by my porch in the late afternoon, always pretending to be out for a walk. She'd glance around, look both ways, and when she thought no one was watching, she'd snatch whatever delivery had just been dropped off, smooth enough to make it seem like nothing ever happened. But I was ready. I made a fake package using an old Amazon box, taped it shut like any normal delivery, and wrote my name and address clearly across the top. Then I lined the inside with shredded paper, leaving enough space for my special delivery. Now, here's the thing, I didn't actually want to hurt Karen, no matter how much she deserved a taste of karma. So, I made sure the snake I got wasn't dangerous. A local reptile shop had a harmless corn snake, the kind people actually keep as pets. It wasn't venomous. It wasn't aggressive. It was just slithery enough to scare the life out of anyone who wasn't expecting it. I placed the snake carefully inside the box, gave it enough air holes to breathe, and set it right on my porch like any normal delivery. To make it convincing, I even tracked a real package that was due for the next day so Karen wouldn't suspect a thing. And then I waited. From my upstairs window, I had the perfect vantage point. I set up my phone camera, too, just in case. If I was right, this would be my chance to catch her red-handed and enjoy some payback. Sure enough, like clockwork, Karen came strolling down the sidewalk. She was wearing her oversized sun hat and clutching that same ridiculous clipboard she always carried, like she was doing official HOA business. But I knew her real mission. She slowed her pace, glanced around, and her eyes landed on the box. She did that same fake little cough she always did when she was trying to look casual. Then she walked up my driveway, checked over her shoulder once, and bent down to grab it. My heart raced as I watched. She tucked the box under her arm and strutted away like it belonged to her. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing out loud. Little did she know, the moment she opened that box, the neighborhood was about to hear a scream unlike anything they'd ever heard before. Karen strutted down the sidewalk like she'd just won the lottery. From my upstairs window, I could see her clutching that box as if it were a prize she'd earned, not stolen. My camera was still rolling, capturing every second of her little heist. She didn't make it far. Instead of heading straight to her house, she sat down on her porch swing, smug as ever, like she was about to unwrap the world's best gift. She glanced around one last time, probably making sure no one was watching. Then, with a dramatic sigh, she tore open the tape. At first, nothing happened. She pulled back the flaps of the box, squinting inside. And then, there it was. The snake slithered up through the shredded paper, tongue flicking in and out, its shiny body twisting against the cardboard. Karen froze for half a second, her eyes bulging wider than I'd ever seen. And then it happened. A scream so loud, so piercing, that I swear it rattled windows. She jumped off that porch swing so fast, the box went flying across her yard. Packages she'd stolen before. Oh, those probably didn't get that kind of reaction. But this one? This one had her running in circles, flapping her arms, screeching like the world was ending. The snake, completely harmless, slithered calmly across the grass, probably just as confused as I was entertained. Karen, meanwhile, was causing an absolute scene. Her husband ran out of the house, panicked, thinking something terrible had happened. A couple of neighbors peeked out their doors, curious about the commotion. "What happened?" her husband shouted, trying to calm her down. "There's a snake in the package," she shrieked, clutching her chest as though she might faint. "A snake?" he echoed, clearly bewildered. Why was there a snake in the mail? And that's when things got even better. Because another neighbor, Mrs. Parker, chimed in from across the street. She'd seen the whole thing. "Wait a minute," she called out. "That wasn't your package, Karen. That box had his name on it." She pointed straight at me, standing at my window with the camera still recording. The look on Karen's face was priceless. She realized, in front of everyone, that she'd been caught. Not just stealing, but humiliated in the most unforgettable way possible. I couldn't hold back my laughter anymore. I opened my window and called out, "Enjoy my delivery, Karen." Karen's face turned beet red the moment I called out. She froze mid-scream, her husband glaring at her, the neighbors whispering like wildfire across the block. For once, the queen of the HOA didn't have a snappy comeback. She looked like a deer caught in headlights, clutching her sun hat as if it could shield her from the humiliation. The snake slithered lazily toward the bushes, completely uninterested in the chaos it had caused. But the damage was already done. Karen's reputation, the one she built on being the responsible HOA president who kept the neighborhood in line, crumbled in an instant. "Karen," her husband said slowly, still trying to piece things together, "you stole his package?" Her hands flailed. No, I was just making sure it was safe," she stuttered, her voice wobbling with desperation. Mrs. Parker, still standing on her porch with her arms crossed, didn't let her get away with it. "Safe? You carried it right to your porch and started opening it. Don't you dare lie. We've all been missing packages lately, and I think we just found out why." The murmurs grew louder. More neighbors stepped out, phones in hand, some even recording. My own camera was still running, catching every second of her downfall. I couldn't resist twisting the knife a little. "Karen, I really appreciate you checking my deliveries for snakes," I called, smirking. "But next time, maybe leave them on my porch where they belong." Her husband groaned, covering his face. Karen sputtered, pointing at me, trying to spin the story. This was a prank. He set me up. he put a snake in there on purpose. But no one was buying it. One of the neighbors chimed in, even if he did, Karen, you wouldn't have opened it if you weren't stealing it in the first place. Checkmate. Karen's scream had been so loud that the HOA gossip mill was already in full swing before the evening ended. By the next day, everyone knew the story. The mighty HOA president, exposed as a package thief, outsmarted by her own victim and a harmless little snake. She tried to do damage control, sending out one of her infamous HOA emails about porch security and community safety, but by then, no one took her seriously. People openly joked about snakes in the neighborhood, and some even left rubber ones on their porches just to mess with her. As for me, my packages stopped disappearing. Karen kept her distance, avoiding eye contact whenever she walked past my house. And while she might still hold her clipboard and bark about grass height, everyone knew the truth. The self-appointed queen of the neighborhood had been dethroned by her own greed. And the best part? Every time I saw her now, I couldn't help but smile, remembering that scream echoing through the block. The scream that proved, once and for all, you don't mess with my packages. And that's how I finally taught HOA Karen the lesson she'll never forget. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button so more people see it. Don't forget to subscribe for more crazy neighborhood and HOA drama, and drop a comment below. Tell me, what would you have done if Karen kept stealing your packages? I'll be reading every single one.